EPLANT-Piping Advanced tutorial. This presentation shows how to generate material reports of the project, including lines, equipments and nozzles. The previous video shows how to verify whether the database module is up to date. We begin with the piping material that is found in this option. Lines defined in 3D models are found here. Equipments here. Equipment nozzle here. Coming back to the piping material. This menu has two options. The first one allows gaining access to the project material with its most detailed information available and updated from the 3D model reports. The second one contains the material total to issue requisitions. The second option is illustrated in another videos. From this option we can browse through the material. And from this one all reports are generated. We are going to look at all these options that have already a filter defined. The first one allows generating a material report of a line with the maximum detail, in other words, without summing up quantities of materials that are the same. We select our line. As for all report options but one, which we shall also see, each report can be generated to either a text file or to an XLS format file. Each one of these options may have different formats defined. Next video shows how to modify these formats. We select text file. All reports have in common this window, where the report format can be modified, previewed, or directly generate a report, which is what we are going to do now. Here we define the output file name. And here we can open it. Remember that we selected the option with the maximum detail. Each component is showing up and each pipe segment with its length. It is not a material takeoff, it is a detailed material listing. This format is seldom used. Here we see each pipe with its own length. We come back to the database module. This option is similar to the previous one, but it will generate a report with all the materials contained in a 3D model. This option generates in a single file the report of the whole material project, but separated by lines. We are going to execute this option that generates the material reports of a line, but with the total quantities of materials that are the same. Also in this case we select the report to a text file. Let's look at this file. Here we can see the total quantities for this line. The details for bolts and gaskets. This option is similar to the previous one by generating reports of all lines one by one in a single file. This is the same but for a 3D model. This option allows to define a filter in a general way over the material without totaling. This one does the same, but after applying a filter, totals the quantities of materials that are the same. Let's see how to define a filter. By default, the filter is not defined. This means that the report would take all the project materials. Checking this option enables the filter definition. The simplest way is to impose a value to one of the fields. In our example, we apply a filter in the A661 piping class. We double-click over the field containing the piping class. This will copy the complete field name in the Edit window, which is completed with a double-click over the value to filter. The filter could be more complex and directly defined in the Edit window also. Let's see first the report to a text file. We see that the simplified format has been used, with the header limited to the column names only. Using the same filter that remains active, we generate again the same report, but this time to an XLS file. We open this report and we see the same format. We are left with this last option that is particularly useful to generate special reports, where, in addition to be able to apply a filter, the very key used to total the material can be defined. Let's look at how it works and its applications. We do not define a filter, and from this menu, the fields that create the totaling key can be selected. In our example, we want to differentiate the material by component code and diameter alone, all the other characteristics notwithstanding. In this case, the report is generated to a text file only, and with a format automatically created on the fly. Here we see the applied filter, and the material is identified using the columns that were included in the key only. If the key contains codes, the associated descriptions are automatically included as well for clarity. For example, we see that we have 7 45 elbows of 1 inch. Here we see bold summary. And here the gaskets. Reports of lines defined as 3D models, as well as of equipments and nozzles, can be generated in the same way.